Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I guess I should introduce myself. Sean Fons, and one of the things that I did there was to lead a team that was specifically did integration testing, exploratory testing, and really took them from ground zero, being a bunch of testers that were very familiar with a gated or waterfall type of testing model, into something that was designed to support the continuous integration, continuous delivery, DevOps type of environment that we live in today. Awkwardness. I love the title of this particular one, The Awkward Teenager of Testing. The meeting services folks were like, what is this thing? What is this thing called, this awkward teenager? Got their attention. I had 3 teenagers. One graduated. She's 20 now. But I had 3 teenagers all at the same time. And one thing I learned from each one of them is the statement of, you don't understand us. You don't get it. And I'm sitting there going like, well, I used to be a teenager. I think I remember how this goes on. Have you ever done what you think is maybe exploratory testing? Okay, cool. Have you ever heard anything like a charter or a heuristic or tying your target areas to mind maps? And everybody, so what I'm starting to speak is a little bit of a different lingo. And what this workshop is really designed to do is to kind of get rid of that awkwardness, to kind of show you this technique called exploratory testing. So there's 5 key areas that I'm going to talk about today. First thing I'm going to do is a talk just on what is exploratory testing, so I kind of level set kind of some understanding as to what I'm going to be talking about. Then I'm going to talk about charters, and we're actually going to write a charter. We're going to execute the charter. We're going to then move into a mind map, talk about what a mind map is, how it's used, and how it's used with charters. And then we'll get into this fun word, heuristics. That was one of the fun things I learned when working with exploratory testing was, 1, how to pronounce it, 2, how to spell it. I kept wanting to spell it wrong, and spell checker kept coming back and back on me. So we'll talk about heuristics. If you don't know what a heuristic is, don't worry. That's part of that awkwardness we're going to start to get rid of. And then I'm going to end with a talk on adoption. It's one thing to say, here's a new technique. It's another to say, how do we actually get that going in our projects? How do we do that? How do we get it? Well, how do we get that ball rolling? Saying, hey, it's easy to miss something you're not looking for. But that exactly describes what we want to do when we start talking about exploratory testing. It's easy to miss something that we're not looking for. I like to describe exploratory testing as saying, and that's the only math equation, by the way, that I'm going to throw at you today. Tested equals checked plus explored. So what is a charter? A charter has 3 parts. It has a target area, it has resources, and it has what you're trying to discover. These mind maps become information radiators. We would actually bring up and hold in our meetings the mind map. What we would do with our mind map is we would put a colored dot, but nouns and verbs is one of my favorites, especially on a place like Google.com where we've all gone many times. I didn't think I could learn anything new with Google.com. And the first thing I did when I did the nouns and verbs, I found that's something that I had never seen before. We'll see if you guys are surprised by it as well. And so I asked myself, when I rolled my dice, I came up with this idea of right-click a button. It's like, okay, we'll see maybe what happens if I go to right-click a button. And when I came over here to this button and I right-clicked on it, it's like, I'm not getting anything. It's like, no, that doesn't, not too surprising. But look at this I'm feeling lucky button. Whoa. Had anybody ever known that before? The I'm feeling lucky button. You go to hover over it, it rotates, it changes. Now, how many times have you been to Google.com? How many times have you actually clicked on the I'm feeling lucky button? Probably 0. So as an exploratory tester, all of a sudden, it was kind of funny, like, whoa, all of a sudden right away, I was like, that just did something that I wasn't expecting. What I have done to kind of help with the adoption, it's one thing to do it, it's another thing to get an entire team or an entire organization or a group to do this. This was my entry point into exploratory testing. It's a book out of the press. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.